I would say on offense, we got to square away the quarterback, as you know. I feel like, the offensive line on the right side, we got to solidify that. I feel like we got to build, enough depth at receiver that we feel like we can put in 5 or 6 in the game and feel good about it. On defense, I think we're still looking to figure out, who are going to be the guys inside, the third, the fourth, the fifth defensive interior lineman that we're going to put in the game. And then same thing, just I would say depth a little bit at safety, just to kind of see who those next guys are that are going to step up. And so we know it's going to be a long year. We're going to need everybody, and so in a lot of those areas, it's depth. Special teams wise, punter is going to be, that is significant. We just brought in Nick, and so there'll be a battle there. So I'd say those are probably the areas we're focused on the most.
Talked a lot about evaluating players, with considering the transfer portal and trying to keep guys and all that. Is it more so let's just try to get as many of the best players as we can now, or is it still very position focused and filling gaps? Has that changed at all?
Well, I think the first thing is you have to bring in the people that fit Ohio State. That's the thing, and now more than ever. I mean, Woody Hayes said it a long time ago. You win with people. Like, that's more prevalent now, maybe even than back then. And I say that because there's so much that goes with today's day and age. There's the portal, like you're saying. There's NIL. There's a lot. And so you want to have great people in your program, great coaches, great staff members, great supporting, people around the program supporting the people, but also, the players, the family members. It's all going to fit. And I think it's important that we make sure we're doing that at a high level. And, just say, well, let's go bring in the best players in the country. Like, it doesn't work that way. You have to build a culture and a winning culture. And that's what we're focused on now. It even started, I feel like in 19, that was like the first year we were making a transition, and then, COVID hit, and then, every year it just seems like there's something else. And I've just come to the conclusion that every year is going to be different, and we have to adapt. But there's certain things that we're not going to change. There's certain values we're not going to change. It's just, principles that have, stood the test of time. And I shared this with a group before when I started doing some research as we were doing some of our recruiting, introductions, and some of our, talks about, the traditions of Ohio State. We talked about how Ohio Stadium was built, and when you do your research on that 100 years ago, folks had the idea of building a stadium over 60,000 people, and that's because of what Chick Harley was doing, and they had wooden bleachers over here, and all these people started coming in, and the idea of bringing in a stadium that had over 60,000 people at the time was like, this is crazy. What is college football turning into? And they instead of going to the state or going to the school, they went to the community to raise the money. They raised at the time over $1 million. Well, now you fast forward 100 years, and the conversation still might be like, what is college football doing, right? And in this situation with NIL, we had to turn to the community for help, and Buckeye Nation showed up again in a big way. So although the landscape is changing, I don't know if 100 years later if it's that much different. It's just in a different time, in a different set of issues that we're working through. But I think it's exciting. I think there's a lot of positives to it. I do. I think that we're taking the next step with the revenue sharing to try to institutionalize some of it, which would be big for us.